What's going on, Mad Maniacs? Welcome back to Mad About Disney, and today we are going to be talking about Disney Animation Studios' new movie, Raya and the Last Dragon, which premiered this Friday, March 5th on Disney Plus for a $30 premium subscription or premium access fee, and in theaters if they're open wherever you are. The film follows Kelly Marie Tran as Raya in a world where long ago humans and dragons lived together in harmony. But when an evil force threatened the land, the dragons sacrificed themselves to save humanity. Now, 500 years later, that same evil has returned, and it's up to a lone warrior, Raya, who is played by Kelly Marie Tran, as I said, to track down the legendary Last Dragon, Sisu, played by Awkwafina, to restore the fractured land and its divided people. This will be a totally spoiler-free review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, feel free to watch. If you don't want anything spoiled for you, even what I liked about it, you can come back to this video later, but I won't be going into any spoilers as far as the ending goes. I'm going to start with the characters, because that is something that a lot of people are really divided on. The main characters are Raya and Sisu, and then there's a bunch of side characters. Personally, I think Raya is a really good character. While I think that her character arc throughout the movie and the issue she has with trust is something that is developed fairly well, I think at times it's a bit overkill. I think we kind of get the idea at some point that yes, she has trust issues, but it's very blatantly spelled out for us rather than shown to us more indirectly. And then I think Sisu's character, which is played by Awkwafina, is a bit over the top at first. Actually, very over the top at first. I actually found that character to be a little bit annoying when we were first introduced, but over the course of the movie I grew to like the character a little bit more. I thought the character was less annoying, so by the end I was okay with it. I also really think that the side characters are a real star here. I think all of them have their own personality traits and things that make them unique from the other characters, that make them really interesting, especially when they're working together. My favorites probably were Tuk Tuk and the shrimp boy, I forget his name, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Now, as far as the plot goes, I think it's a fairly standard plot. They have to collect these things to do the thing. It's been in multiple movies before, that sort of plot. They move through all these different parts of Kumandra, the different villages, towns, I don't know exactly what they refer to them as. There's the different parts of the dragon, you know, spine, talon I think is one, I know heart is one. You get the idea. At times it kind of felt like we were just rushing from one to the other and we never really got to enjoy each one, but I did really like each one. When we were in it, they each had their own distinct culture, personality, vibe. The score, which was really great by the way, kind of shifted depending on where we were. It was really interesting like that. And overall, the landscape that they built in all of these parts of Kumandra were really interesting, and I wish we would have gotten a little bit more time in each of them, but I did like the world building they did to develop each of these separate parts of the kingdom. They had very distinct everything, and I think that there's a lot of potential there for future stories. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if I want them to do that or if I want this to just kind of stay its own thing, but if they did, I think there's a lot of potential there. And lastly, we're going to talk about the animation. I think this is definitely one of Disney's best animated movies. Obviously, it makes sense. The newer, the more technology they have, the better practice they have with these sorts of things. The landscapes are absolutely beautiful. All of the nature-related aspects, whether it's the desert or the water by the way, was spectacular. The way they were able to animate water, it looked incredibly realistic. And I also thought that the camera work was really incredible. I know there's no physical camera, right? But in the world of the movie, there's something following the characters. And I thought it was really interesting the way the camera moved. At times it seemed very realistic to live action. There was a scene where a character has fallen off of a bridge and lands in a river. And I thought it was really interesting, and if you've bought the $30 premium access or whatever, you can go back and watch this, because you can watch it as many times as you'd like. Go back to that scene, you'll know what scene I'm talking about, and watch how the character shakes and moves with the tide, with the character that's in the river. It doesn't take the above stationary position that a lot of previous animated movies might have taken, but instead rather tracks the character and makes the viewer feel more immersed in the scene that's present. Similarly, in a lot of the battle scenes, which were also fantastic, and one of the highlights of the movie, the way they were able to handle the hand-to-hand and sword combat, I thought it was really interesting the way the camera moved with the characters to follow the action, follow the motion of their blades or their fists, whatever they were using at the time. I thought it was really interesting the way the camera moved along with them and just immersed the viewer in that experience. This isn't something I'm seeing a lot of people talking about, but I think it's definitely one of the highlights of the movie. So if you ever go rewatch it, pay attention to some of the camera work and some of the scenes because it's really impressive. The last thing I'm going to mention is just the fact that there was no music. A lot of people might have expected it to be a musical because that's kind of what Disney's been doing lately. I was okay with it. I thought that the whole movie had a more action-y type tone because of the combat scenes, the fighting scenes, so I thought it totally worked, so I just wanted to address that real quick. I'm totally cool with there not being music. And despite some plot and character stuff that didn't really bother me too much, but you know, I did have some issues with it, and the fact that the hand-to-hand combat and animation was so impressive, I'm going to give Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon a 4 out of 5. Thank you all so much for watching. I also just finished up watching WandaVision. The finale episode came out last week, and in advance of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I might do a review of that on here, or just kind of talk about my whole feelings as a whole, where it might go going forward. But let me know what you think. But thank you for watching this video, and I will see all of you Mad Maniacs in the next video.